Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome guys to our last session of this course in basic writing skills. As you know, we are here in the College of Distance Education, University of Seoul, and here we have this very valuable chance for you to study from abroad, from outside. You don't have to come to school. You can upload what we are presenting here in our session, study at home, and come to the exams. Here we wrap up what we have discussed. This is the last session in which we are going to talk about the architecture of the academic writing as a whole, the structure, guide to paragraph, punctuation, and syntax. Let's get started. So first of all, the macro, the pipeline, for example, the 5-step writing process, brainstorming to draft final. So here we have to be very careful when we start writing our writing to have process. As I told you in the last session, it's not a matter of having your pen between your fingers and start writing. No, you have to be very careful. So to write the draft, okay, and the brainstorm, of course, you gather the information, you filter them, and then you start your start writing your free writing, and at the end you submit your final draft. Here also the meso, the fasteners, elements of punctuation, directing the flow of information. And the last one, the micro, the building blocks, the glossary, the taxonomies of nouns, verbs, and clauses. So these are the three things we have to be very careful, and they are all go into building our vocabulary. Remember, you are building a paragraph. It's just like building a house, building a mosque, building whatever. You have to start. You have to know exactly what you are building. No one brings the builder and the boss without telling them what does he want. This is your topic. Since this is your topic you want to talk about, what exactly you want to talk about, you have to decide first, and then you start. Either the builders, they start to mix the ingredients, the sand and the cement. For you, you have to bring the vocabulary that matches or fits with your topic, the structure that fits, and so on. And then you have to be very clear about the punctuation. And the last one, the glossary and the taxonomies. Okay, let's now see the steps of writing. Number one, the topic or the information you want to talk about. Strategy number one, brainstorming. You have to storm your brain to just, brainstorming. So just like when you shake something very hardly. These days, by the way, is the day of Dom in Hadramaut. What do you do at the place of what's called ilm in our Hadrami language? We shake it forcefully, okay, so the dome goes down. But here also, when you want to write, you have to shake your mind. What do you have? What's your prior knowledge about this? Strategy: discuss with classmates, use pictures, diagrams, and everything that will help you to lay out what you are going to talk about. Gather information, read assignment. Here, number two, creating an outline. Strategy: cluster ideas into charts, webs, lists, sequence ideas based on models. Here, creating an outline. Now you brainstorm, you have plenty of words, plenty of sentences, clauses, phrases, and because at the stage of brainstorming, you never concern about about spelling, about meaning, about whatever. No, you just write whatever comes to your mind. In the outlining here, you put them as cluster. Which one can go, which one cannot go into your paragraph. After the outlining, now you first start writing your first draft. Here, start ignore mistakes for now. Or again, you don't have to care a lot about them. Evaluate, outline, support, get peer feedback. So you have your outline, show it to someone to see the outline, to tell you either the point is good, the second point is not good. You get rid of it and so on. But you don't care about the mistakes. It's just about the contents here. Expand outline to full sentences, because in the beginning you want to talk about, for example, your opinion about I have a scary night. I have a scary night. Okay, this is your topic. Then in the outline, knocking at night. So make it a sentence. While I was watching TV, I heard a huge knock on my door. Okay, here you of course the start. The next one, number four, editing. Editing, now it's about to finish, to be cleared. Okay, here strategy: step away before editing, read sentence by sentence. Here, because you have a draft of the paragraph, read it again sentence by sentence to check the structure, to check the content, to check the relation. Because what's a paragraph? We said a paragraph is a group of related sentences, or a paragraph is a paragraph that talk about one topic. One topic. So here you have to edit everything that you think that does not go into your into your paragraph should be left out. You make sure that everything is good. You corrected everything, the grammar, the punctuation, ready. You feel that you feel happy, you feel confident. Okay, now final draft. Rewrite again, and finally final draft. In the final draft, you have to be very careful about the organization. This is the one you are going to write in the exam paper. Number one, for the paragraph, because we are at this level, you have to be very careful to come up with a very interesting title. It should not be a sentence. It should not be long. Just few words that capture the interest of the reader. Then you start writing the first sentence. As you know, the first sentence should be indented. What I mean by indent, leave 5 centi space vacant without any writing, and then start your first letter in the topic sentence. After the topic sentence, you put full stop, and then you start providing your supporting sentences one by one. In every single one, you have to put full stop when the sentence is complete, or comma if there is subordinating conjunction in the beginning. Then at the end, you write your concluding sentence. After checking all these from the organization, from the margins, also margins are very important. Never ever cross it out. Never cross it. Just write at the lines I gave you, in the beginning of the line to the end of the line. Never cross it. Even if there is 1 letter, 2 letter, put them in the second line. You feel free, you feel confident, you feel happy about it, submit it. Finished college paper or the paragraph at the level of the paragraph. Here we have, look, the first draft. You see here, I write this paragraph. Okay, I have to go through the filter. I put it in the filter. As I told you before in the last episode, or the one before the last, I talk about the one we talk about the wheat when it brought from the farm. What our old women used to do, they clean it and they get rid of everything that's attached to it. Here the same way we have to do in the paragraph. We have a draft, I filter it. So number one, focus on the content. Separate yourself from the idea. Put the paper aside for a few hours. Shift focus to clarity, at the sentence level. Number two, read backwards. Some writers read sentence by sentence backwards to avoid distracting by content. You got this idea? From the bottom. First read the concluding, then go to support sentence number 1, support sentence number 2, support sentence number 3, to the topic sentence. You see, are they correlated? Are they good written structurally and grammatically? Are the spellings, is the spelling correct in all of them? The last one, to the mechanically sound draft. Now the draft is nice, so it goes up to the reader or the best air that you have from the ventilation. Here we talk about some of the punctuations. That's very important. And they are really, some students commit many mistakes, as we said in the beginning of this episode, when we talk about run-on sentence or fragment. Where do they come from, these two things? Number one, the commas, the separator. Items in serious use and before the last item. For example, we made rice, chicken, salad, and cake. You see here, after rice, we have comma. After chicken, we have comma. And after salad, we have comma. More than one item, to separate them, we put comma. And the end one, the last one, we use and of course preceded by comma. The second one, introductory word or phrase. Example, at the end of the day, my husband and I sit on the sofa. At the end of the day, you see here, at the end of the day, at the phrase to setting the scene. Okay, here we are. What happened? At the end of the day, we have comma. My husband and I sit on the floor, on the sofa. In the middle of the day, we had a nap, and in the middle of at night, we usually watch TV, and so on and so on. Well, introductory word or phrase. Connecting sentences with and, but, so. Example, the temperature was below freezing, but we were warm. But we were, so before but, we use comma as well. And of course, before and before so. And you know how to use them, of course. The periods, the terminator, marks the end of something. Here you tell the reader that the sentence finished. She speaks 4 languages. You see, here, if you put a comma, it's wrong. Because here you have a complete sentence with subject, verb and complete idea. Complete idea. So we put it full stop. The quotation marks, when you have something taken from someone, a very valuable word is from sheikh or from a singer or from a soccer player, whoever, it depends on your topic actually. Repeating exact words, use a comma to separate from the rest of the sentence. So example, I heard him say. First you say, I heard him say. You want to tell the others exactly what he said. This what happened, what we read in the news or what we listen to in the news. If you follow CNN, BBC in English, Al Jazeera in English, you will find this. When they want to tell you exactly what Obama or Donald Trump said or whoever said that, or even someone from Yemen, if you follow the news in English in Yemen, you will find the same. I heard him, or I heard the president say, comma, then inverted commas on the top, don't worry. And as you know, our high rank officially, they tell us every time, don't worry, but we are really worried about our petrol, our gas cylinder, and our everyday things we need. What are you trying to show? Okay, here, if we want to talk about the possession. The possession here, it means something you have, something you have. You want to say that something that belongs to you, not someone else. Number one, singular noun. If it is singular, we use noun ending in s, add s, or just example, my boss or my boss's car. The car is not mine. It's not my. It's my boss's. So I put an apostrophe, and then I have what? The s, the ending s for plural. Add s also. For example, I went to my cousin's house. Also, we add s. Here we have, because in the first one, we say the boss. So there is sometimes we don't add s because it's already ended by s. The boss's car, or we just add s here. We went to my cousin because the last letter is n, so we have apostrophe and then s. We went to my cousin's house. Plural noun, we just put the apostrophe only. Remember this. Put the apostrophe after the plural s. We went to my cousin's house. You see the difference? Number one, we talk about one cousin only. One cousin. We went to my cousin's house. For example, I have a cousin called Salim. I have a cousin called Ali. I have a cousin called Ahmed. I went to his house. But the second time, we went to my cousin's house. Cousins, okay? So this house not only for one cousin, to all my cousins. To all, either from the side of my mom or the side of my father. So both of them. In brief, when you talk about, when there is s of the plural, we don't add the s. We don't add the s of the what? Of the possession. We just put the apostrophe. But when we have the word or the noun is singular, we have to put the apostrophe and followed by s. This in brief. Contractions, of course, here in writing usually we don't contract, but it depends when you want to speak. Contractions show missing letters. Example. Scott doesn't have any hair. Scott doesn't have any hair. Scott, those people who participate in Scott, usually they have a piece of red or sometimes green or yellow piece of cloth around their neck, you see? And they are very clean in schools nowadays, yes. In the modern school of Sayoun, you will see them, and they have some, or they organize parties and so on. Note, not appropriate in academic writing. As I told you, when we write, we don't contract. We have to write the whole word. Scott does not. Just he said the thing here you want to talk about the apostrophe. So we use apostrophe when we talk about possession and when we contract. When we contract something like doesn't. Look at doesn't. After the end, what do we have? Apostrophe. Here we say, let's see, move the actors. The sentence in English is made of what? Is made of subject and verb. The subject, what could be the subject? As either a noun or pronouns. The subject and receivers of the sentence. The noun or what pronoun? How many pronouns? We have 7 pronouns. I, you, we have, for example, if we classify them into their 3 groups. First person pronoun, I, we. Second person pronoun, you. Third person pronoun, they, he, she, it. The nouns or noun phrase. This could be what? The noun. And the nouns, of course, they could be singular or pronoun. Of course, this is affects and tells you what kind of verb you use, either to add s or no or whatever. The second, the action, the verb or modals, the engines of the sentence, expressing state, action, and time. The sentence in English cannot be a sentence without a verb. There should be a verb. Verb is either two, either verbs of action, something that has the lexical one, that has meaning, play, eat, come, go, whatever. Modals, they're usually followed by infinitive. Should, will, must, and so on, have to, and so on. The only one that we have to be careful about, or to take a lot of care about, is the verb to be. Verb to be could be both, either main verb or helping verb. And some sentences, the very simple sentences, usually it is a main verb. The weather was nice, the room is clean, and so on. But sometimes it becomes at what? At helping verb. In passive, the room was cleaned. Okay, so you have to be very careful. You have this is my advice to all the students in my course. I tell them go back to their writing course and do all exercises again. Here, not because you want to get marks, you want to master. It's a matter of mastering, not just knowing the information, mastering them. Because in writing here, as you know, there are criteria we have to follow when we check your paper. So we check it from every single part, either the content, the organization, the correctness of the grammar, and so on. So this is my, actually every day when I come to the class, to especially those who I teach them basic writing skill or say writing, I tell them please go back to either grammar 1 and grammar 2 again and again and master them, because these are your keys for what? For succeeding in my course. This describers, adjectives, adverbs, these also they make your sentence better, nice, like just like they call it what? Appetizers. When you have food, you can have rice with meat, or have rice with fish, rice with chicken. But sometimes they put appetizers here, dressing here, for example, something made of tomatoes, potatoes, something, and so on. Look, of course, it will make your meal tasty. The same thing when you write a paragraph, make it tasty also, but in writing, in words. So use modifiers to define meaning, limits, and quantities. Modifying like of adjectives, clean, loyal, or whatever, interesting, and so on. The limits, the quantities, some, okay, many, and so on. The architecture, clause and phrase. We know the level of the words. Okay, sometimes of course it depends on your level. Sometimes you can make your subject made of 3 or 4 words. Here we have a phrase. The Japanese Toyota cars. This is a phrase. What do you want to say about them? Okay, they are what? They're acceptable and used a lot in Hadramaut, for example. The clauses usually they use subordinating what? Subordinating conjunctions, either when, while, if. Okay, different kinds. Again, go back to your grammar book and you will find them easy there explained. The grammatical units that house the actors and what? Actions. The actors, the noun, let's now go in detail. Common, class of people, things. Countable, has singular, plural. Uncountable, no plural, cannot occur with a or an. You see? So the noun, the common, it's supposed to be a common class of people, things, anything. Abdul, Ali, class of people, teachers, writers, and so on. If they are countable, so they have singular and plural, as I said. Uncountable, because we know they don't have no plural. Okay, of course, so we don't use a or an with them. Pronouns, they replace the nouns, as I told you before. Replace noun or noun phrase. I, you, he, mine, she, her, his, and so on. All these things. So number 1, if we have this, the adjective, they modify the noun. Modify what? The noun. Modify nouns including superlative, ranking 3 items, and comparative, express, for example, between 2 items. Here, for example, we want to add the adjectives. Sana'a is colder than Tarim. For example, differences in items, explain differences. Comparative, for example, Tabuk is the coldest area in Saudi Arabia, or the coldest city in Saudi Arabia. Here, when we say about the an or a, the article, determiners, this or that, we call them determiners. Limit meaning, define, definite. The indefinite, or an, quantity, a lot, of, few, and so on. All these, they are added to the sentence to make it better, to make it more limited, okay, and very clear to the reader to understand. Also, sometimes we add adverb, modify verbs, modify adjectives, or other adverbs also. So here the adjective, they modify noun mostly only. Okay, but adverbs here, how do you know the adverb? They end with ly usually, quickly, slowly, okay, happily, sadly, and so on. Modify verbs, adjectives, or other verbs. Often answer how, when, where, how, often. Example, very quickly. The main verbs also could be action verb, describes what someone, something does, not a state. Sam rang the bell. Ali plays football. My mom cooks meal, and so on. Action, they do it. Stative, here's the difference. Here, mostly they are emotional. That's why they don't come in progress. I say express condition, state. Usually not used in continuous form, as I said. No, I know you, I love you, I see what you want. Okay, so all these are stative. So here's the difference in the use and the meaning also between these two. All of them are verbs. Number one is action, and the other one is stative. The last one, transitive and intransitive. Here we have to be very careful, as in Arabic there. In transitive, we have an object, not like play or something. They open the door. What they open? They open the door. So here we call it transitive. Transitive is followed by an object. I read the book. Intransitive cannot be followed by another object. We finally arrived. We arrived there, so on. So I don't have to follow it by anything. This is intransitive. Here we'll talk about modifiers, forms, auxiliary verb used before main verbs in questions, negative, like do, have, be. For example, I don't go to school on Fridays. Have, okay, I have been to Dubai. Be, is, was, were, are, am, all these. We call them auxiliary because they come with the main verb. Models, as I said before, modify the main verb to express ability, authority, certainty, and so on. So it depends. Idea you want to express. You want to advise me? You say you should come on time. Otherwise, you'll be left out. Okay? You must have visa if you want to travel. You can go. What will you do next? Okay, and so on. So here all they depend on the idea you want to express about this. Form, base form, infinitive without to, infinitive to plus base, and the gerund ing form used as a noun. The base form without to, for example, they come with help, play. They, for example, the sticks, they help me play, PlayStation with the station. Infinitive with to, you have, for example, they come to our class to check, okay, what we do in the class, to check. Gerund, when you add ing to the verb to become noun. So the verb is watch, I add ing, becomes watching. So I can start my sentence like this. Watching TV for long hours can hurt your eyes. Swimming in the pool in the winter can lead to a flu, and so on. Tense timelines, number on the past symbol, okay, and now here, action completed and at a definite time in the past. Carl ate lunch. The session here, for example, the last two sessions, we finished them. I finished 2 sessions. Present simple, we talk about something that goes on now. We talk about habitual, habits, repeated activities, and permanent situation. The earth is round. Fact. Okay. Also, when we talk about, la samahullah, bad habits. My dad smokes. Okay. My brother or my friend chews gut. Okay. All these they talk about what? The bad habits. Some others they talk about good habits. Okay. My grandfather cleans the mosque, for example. Present continuous in the middle here. Okay. It's something going on. Activity in progress, temporary or changing, formed with be plus ing. I am watering the garden. Now I am talking to you on the screen. Now I am talking to the screen. You are listening to me. You are watching me. Okay, if you go to the URL and open it. Future, what will happen next? When we talk about the exam, you will have the exam after 2 or a month and a half, and so on. Time that is to come, expressed with will, be going to, continuous form, and so on. David is going to call later. So we, of course, there is a rule for how to use will, and there is a rule how to use be going to, and there is a rule we use what continuous forms to talk about future. Clause structure and types. Independent and main clause. Here when we have subject and verb can be used by itself as a complete sentence. Example, I am going home. I am going and dependent. They are a sentence actually. The main clause and dependent. Main clause means a sentence mostly. The other one, dependent, subordinate clause, has subject and verb but cannot stand alone. It depends on the main clause and the main clause to complete its meaning. Example, after he calls, what happened? Okay, you see here's a comma. Here's what? A comma. So here we use what? After, if, when, while, and so on. Dependent block include the time clause begins with while, when, before. If clause beginning with if, as I said. Noun clause begins with words or with the WH words or that. So you see here as a jigsaw that cannot fit unless we have the other one to fit with. So it goes together. For example, if I have money, I will buy a car, or I will. The sentence structure formulas. Number one, affirmative, negative statements, subject plus verb. Now the negative was positive. Linda went to the movies. I didn't see that movie. All these are example of what? Negative or affirmative. Active and passive. Subject perform action. With subject receives action. Active, Alex mailed a letter. Passive, the letter was mailed yesterday. Was mailed. You see? Here we have passive. Compound sentence also. Main clause, conjunction, and then or main clause. She is very talented. Then you call it semicolon. Semicolon. Either here you can use semicolon, you can use and. Okay. She can sing. She can sing what? And dance. You can use whatever additional what linking word. Complex or conditional sentence, main clause plus number one or more dependent clauses. You see, when the bell rang, we were fishing dinner. Okay, we were fishing dinner. This compound. When the bell rang, we were fishing dinner. We were finishing dinner. Conditional, if I have time, I will travel to Africa. Comma, separating independent time clauses. Before the experiment began, okay, you see here what happened? He put comma. The research gathered a lot of information. Here we have transitive action verb. Before the experiment began, what happened? A quantity expression. Gal, the research gives a lot of information. We use what? Quantity of expression. They worked quickly and the team successfully tested the new prototype. If the results are accurate, this machine makes the most noise of the three. Adverb. Superlative. This machine. Okay. Compound sentence, separator. Here there. The result of brainstorming, outlining, and editing process, steps 1 to 4 there. The architectural blueprint, defining and describing unit 2. The theoretical goal, the grammatical tool you will find. This is here a layout of your book. Defining and describing unit 2. General statements, habits, unit 3. Giving advice, necessity, prohibition, unit 4. Introducing facts, unit 5. And narrative, passive events, unit 6. Here we will have descriptive adjectives. Simple present with be, and from chapter 6 to 1. A simple present here, chapter 9. Okay, imperative, using the areas and so on. Grammar is not a list of rules, it is the architecture of effective communication. Be careful, be very ready for this. Remember this, and I know you are very talented to know this very well. Here we have the grammar is very important. Imagine you are in the mosque and listening to the Friday speech, and then the speaker does not know the rule of Arabic grammar. He make this a majroor, the other one is what mudaf, and so on and so on. You will feel very sad. You will, even if it is not obliged, you will leave the mosque. That's the same happened to your paragraph. Try to use the grammar in a very best way. Again and again, I tell you, by going back to your course, grammar 1 and grammar 2, to master, not just to know. With this, we come to the end of our 4th session. Thank you very much, guys, for being with me, and I hope you get benefit from what I said again. And good luck, and the exam, inshallah, will be at your level, inshallah. Don't worry, you don't have to worry a lot. My last advice is this: in the book, there are many number of sample paragraphs. My advice to you, read them very well. Okay, translate them into Arabic. After you translate them to Arabic, re-translate them into English on your own. By this way, you will analyze every single sentence. You will know how to synthesize the sentence again and again. Thank you very much for being with me. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.